So it is the fall of 2020. It is the height of the pandemic. I walk out of my house and I walk around the outside of the gym to where my classroom is, which is in the little entryway to Van Every. And there's still the little white squares out there where we had to have the 6 feet of separation when people would walk in and get tested. I have to get there very early because I have Zoom meetings first with my international students, and then secondly with one of my new advisees, a new 10th grader, who is Charlie. And Charlie had to spend the first, at least the first few months, could have been longer, I'm starting to forget now, of his experience here at VES online. There was, we were quarantining, taking all these kind of tests. Charlie was very busy with his travel baseball as well, so things weren't lining up, so he had to take courses from home. We would coordinate things like him trying to come in at a certain time to pick up his books and then go right back home again. And then he got injured at another point. It was a frustrating, as we all, for those who were there, remember, it was a frustrating time, and I remember feeling like, for him and for other students who were trying to do the online experience, it must be so frustrating for them. They must find this miserable. I hope he sticks with it. He did, and I'm so glad he did. For some of us, high school is an experience about discovering who we are. We don't know who we are when we get here, and we try to figure that out over 4 years, and hopefully we do, and that's a pretty normal process. For others, like Charlie, there's a kind of quiet confidence, a quiet sense of knowing who they are the second they hit the ground and hit the ground running, and Charlie is that kind of person. And he was able to contribute right away to so many amazing things at the school, whether that was Glee Club, whether it was doing a Shark Tank activity in an econ class, whether it was making a Hamlet film in English, the advanced study he's working on, whether he's writing stories about the Olive Garden, playing baseball, of course, right, which is something he's deeply passionate about. And Charlie's been able to contribute so much to this school, being a counselor, of course. And so when I look back, when I think about the pandemic, I want to try to think about the positive things that came out of the pandemic. And right up there at the top of the list is the fact that we at VES got to know Charlie and got to have him be part of our community. And that's just such a wonderful thing we might not have ever had if it hadn't been for the pandemic. So I'm so glad he's here, and I'm so excited to hear his counselor talk. Thank you.
My name is Charlie Felmlee, and I'm going to talk to you all today about the importance of healthy relationships. Growing up, I always had a close group of friends, and we would always be over at each other's houses, playing wiffle ball, shooting Nerf guns, demolishing snacks, and just doing whatever young dudes love to do. I was a really happy kid who played all the sports and had a great time doing so. This lasted all the way through the end of my middle school career. However, when I reached high school, this all changed. To kick off my high school career, I was dumped by my 8th grade girlfriend. Yeah, not a great way to start things off. I did what most guys do after they get kicked to the curb. I was watching all of the how to get a six-pack in 6 minutes videos, doing 100 push-ups a day, and would play basketball outside with my shirt off to try to tan up a bit. I was going to show her what was up. All jokes aside, I actually did this, and believe it or not, my other relationships suffered too. I would not hang out with our mutual friends anymore and was all in on focusing on myself. While focusing on yourself is a great thing to do and is very important, I almost did it a little too much as I cut off a group of people I had been close friends with all my life. I don't know if this was out of spite or what it was, but I seemingly lost people I was close with for no reason at all. Later that year, it was time for my first season of high school baseball, and I had a great year. I won all conference and all region honors as a freshman, while also being named the team's Rookie of the Year. I'm not going to lie, my head got a little big after this, and I walked around school with my chest out thinking I was the man. This bolt of confidence tempted me to play football the following year. I envisioned myself being the next EC Glass star quarterback, and I wanted people to see me as some big-time figure. However, when the coach saw my big 210-pound self at the time, he told me, "No, son, you're playing linebacker." I had played ice hockey my whole life, so I said, "Screw it. I love to hit people. Let's do it." The year started off great, and I was named one of the JV team captains. I was getting a solid amount of playing time and became friends with a group of people that I had nothing in common with. However, on the afternoon of August 26, 2019, everything changed. During a one-on-one tackling drill, I went in for a tackle and got absolutely smoked by our stud running back. When I looked down at my shoulder, there was a small problem. I had no shoulder. My shoulder bone was about near poking out of my right pec, and this was by far the worst pain I'd ever been in my life. I dropped to the ground screaming in agony, and the ambulance had to come onto the field to take me to the hospital. After the doctor popped my shoulder back into place, he told me I had torn my right labrum and would need surgery, sidelining me from baseball for the next 8 months. This was crushing, as this was prime time to get recruited to play baseball in college. On top of that, I had to completely relearn how to throw a baseball. So what did I do? I spent those next months doing everything I could to get back on the field. I would work out 5 days a week, eat nothing but dried chicken breasts and vegetables, and not let any outside influence prevent me from getting back. So there I went again, kind of shutting everything else out. I no longer would hang out with friends on the weekends or after school because I thought there may be some junk food there or because I had to get my workout in for the day. While this did help me get back on the field sooner than expected, my relationships suffered again. Naturally, I grew apart from my friend group because I was never around. They would tell stories about the fun they had on the weekend, and I would pretend to laugh along with them, but I didn't get it. I wasn't there. I became frustrated with my friends because I thought they were shutting me out, but I realized that I was actually doing it to myself. I was the one who was separating myself from them. I was no longer invited to hang out with those guys because they probably assumed I didn't want to hang out with them. I would come home and say that those kids were being mean, but in reality, they were just living normally, adapting to their social environment. Once I was separated from them, there was nothing for me to do but put my head down and work even harder. Then COVID hit. Thinking I needed to reclass for an athletic advantage and just wanting a fresh start, I transferred to VES. I was back on the field and playing travel ball, so I had to be online for 99% of the year. Baseball was going great, and I was starting to get recruited by some big-time schools, but being online, I was still lacking that social connection. I wasn't depressed, but I wasn't happy. I was kind of just living life through a numb feeling, almost coasting through without emotion. Life was just gliding by until, bam, another injury. I mean, just put me in some bubble wrap at this point. I had broken my elbow and was going to be out for another 6 months. I'd gone through this before, and it worked, so I did it again. I just put my head down, worked, and shut out everything else. This takes me up until the beginning of my junior year here. Being online for all but a couple weeks of my sophomore year, I hadn't had but only 1 or 2 good friends here. I was ready to make new connections and start having fun again, but I wouldn't let myself. While I was injured, a lot of schools had filled up their roster spot for my graduating class, and I started to panic. I thought there may not be a spot for me anymore at the level I wanted to play at. So I did what I'd always done, just put my head down and worked. I would go to school, go to practice, go work out in the gym, and go home. I did not even attempt to make new social connections or really even be that social at all. This kept going and going until I made my college commitment to William & Mary almost a year ago today. This was a moment I had been dreaming about for the last 5 years, and I thought I would be the happiest kid in the world when it finally happened. However, right after I got off the phone with the coach, I almost felt nothing. There was no big party or celebration. Life just kind of went on. While all of my hard work paid off, I almost kind of regret it. This is because I feel like I missed out on my entire junior year by just being so centrally focused on myself. To be completely honest, I don't remember much about it at all. I didn't make all of those fun memories you're supposed to have in high school. It was after feeling this emotionless lull that I decided to stop being so hard on myself and to let myself have fun and stop caring so much. Because of this realization, this year has been by far the best year of my life. I realized that baseball does not define me as a person, and I stopped letting my performance dictate my mood. I started hanging out with friends again on the weekends, visiting older friends at college, and just began to have fun again, like I did before high school. This just made life so much more enjoyable. You see, in 10, 15 years, when we are all grown up and not around each other anymore, what people are going to remember most about you is how you made them feel. This is why hanging out with people is so important. It is the memories that last, not the little minute details that you think others care about so much. So I want to challenge you all. While it is important to always have some alone time, if you're one of those people who kind of just hides out in their room all day, I challenge you to get out on a box or wherever you like and just hang out with people. I guarantee you that you will not remember that YouTube video or Netflix show in 15, 20 years, but you just might remember that funny conversation or that new friendship you made. All right, I'm almost done, but now I have to get to the forbidden thank yous. Thank you to my family for always giving me the love and support I needed to reach my goals. Thank you to Jed and Mike for always working out together and pushing each other to be the best we can be on the field. Thank you to the entire baseball team for making this year so memorable up to this point. Myrtle was indeed a movie. And thank you to Emerson, Kate, Cameron, and Mary Farrell for making this year such a blast. And lastly, thank you to everyone within the VES community for making this such a special place. Seniors, I don't know how many days are until graduation, but it will be here before we know it, so let's savor every moment. Thank you.